Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, good evening, wherever you're watching from. Today I am going to be going live with Emily from Clarity Systems. And she just joined, so we'll get her to request to join and pull her up. Thank you guys so much for. If you guys don't know who Emily is, she's amazing. You're in for a treat. Hi!
Hello.
Hello. I'm so excited. Oh my gosh. It's been way too long. It's been way too long.
Absolutely. So glad to be here.
So how are you? Do you want to kind of like introduce yourself too for people who may not know who you are?
Sure, yeah. I traditionally was trained as a therapist, and then I got debilitating mental illness that developed over years. And it got to the point where I had to quit working. I resolved my mental illness by removing sugar and processed foods and eating real food. What worked out for me was that it was animal meat and animal fat, and resolved my mental illness, and then went back to work full time, and then realized that in the therapy, mental health field, we can't talk about food. And so I quickly realized I didn't belong there anymore. And I was like, you know what? You can have the letters behind my name. I'm just going to be a coach. And so I've been coaching, and now I've been able to watch people's lives transform just by removing sugar and processed foods. And that's just the gateway. Now I'm able to really use all of my skills as a therapist to come in once their brain is cleared from the inflammation and help them literally transform their life for good. And
Mhm.
it's the funnest job in the whole world.
So I did hear just now that you said what worked for me was animal foods and things like that. Kind of suggesting that that might not work for everyone. So have you ever seen something else work for someone, especially with someone who may be suffering from like what you did with bipolar and multiple sclerosis? Does have you seen other things work?
Yeah, I have found that carnivore is the most incredible tool. And what it does is it's like an elimination diet where you don't know what's wrong. And so you use this tool of animal meat and animal fat for 30 to 45 days. And then you can reintroduce one new food a week. But you got to get to that baseline. When you are like absolutely crazy and you're off the charts, miserable with anxiety, depression, um, schizophrenia, like all of these things, you got to get to that baseline. And until you get to that baseline, you really can't build what it is that you can eat. And so, yeah, I have somebody that I'm working with right now who she's reincorporated rice and potatoes, and she's done it very strategically, one by one. But and I, I've held her hand through that, um, and she is thriving. So it is different for everyone.
Mhm. Perfect. And so 30 days, you said 30 to 45 days. So is that true for everyone, or do some people need more than that? So just to get to baseline. And how do you know
Yes.
when you're at baseline?
Um, it's funny because you don't know until you experience it. Um, but it's a very significant difference when you go from crazy to stable. You're just like, oh, this is what good feels like. Oh, this is what normal people's brains are like a neurotypical person. And so it's literally like I'm saying to this person who comes to me, hey, we're gonna go to Disney World. And number one, they've never been to Disney World. Number two, they've never even seen a TV. They don't even know what Disney World is. They have no point of reference. And they're
Mhm.
going, okay, like how will I know when I get there? And I'm like, you'll know when we get there. And then you walk into the gates of Disney World and you're like, oh, I'm so glad that we went on this journey. I'm so glad that we're here. But that's kind of the tricky part of my job is going, hey, we're going to go somewhere that you've never heard of and you've never experienced, and you don't even know you're capable of it.
Yeah, I can imagine, but I bet it's just so rewarding when people do realize that. Just to clarify too, you're not talking about just people who have some like physical things that are wrong with them. Like you work with very people who need a lot of help, correct?
Yeah, the work that I do is really intense. There's tons of amazing coaches out there that can, really set some parameters for you and really kind of walk you through the process. But I deal with the people that can't even read their material because they're just so bogged down, or they can't believe in themselves. And so I literally go into the trenches with some of the worst and really walk them through what it's like to think that it is possible to be able to hope. And it takes scaffolding. Like it's not like I can just like send them an email and pump them up and they're like, oh, okay, great. I feel good about myself. No, we got to go through some intense work, and it's daily. I mean, I go through, I am accessible to my clients daily, because you never know when an emergency is coming. And
Yeah.
they need to know that they're not alone in that moment.
Wow. So what kind of impact does that have on you? Do you ever feel overwhelmed or do you ever start to backslide?
Yeah, that was actually my concern when my husband and I, designed this, and he was like, babe, you don't have a different mode. He was like, you don't have like an off switch. And he was like, so we need to design this so that you can be your true authentic self, because he knew that I was going to show up 100%
Mhm.
of the time. And so what we have done is we've limited it. And so the absolute most people that I will work with at one time is 10 people,
Wow.
because he knew, he was like, I know that you're just going to pour everything into this. And so that way I can show up. I am available to show up. And then I have boundaries where I'm like, hey, I'll get back to you within 24 to 72 hours, but they are able to put a pin in it where they know when they send me a message, they know that as soon as I'm available to read that message, I'm going to read that message. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to respond with everything in my heart, everything in my being to them right now. And they're not going to be alone.
Mm. So how long does someone usually work with you before they graduate or whatever? I don't know what you call it.
Yeah, actually, that's funny because that has been something that we've had to adapt. And there's certain people who they do this intense work with me, and by the end of 8 weeks, they are gold. Like honestly, some of them by the end of five weeks, and they're just like, I got this, and they just don't need me anymore, and they're doing great. There's some people who get to the end of the 8 weeks and they are literally like white knuckling it, and they're like, I can't believe it's our last week, and I can't believe I'm never going to be able to talk to you again. And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like, we get to write this.
Mhm.
We get to plan this. If you need more care, I'm there. So I've actually adapted it, and it's for life. It's
Oh,
absolutely for life. I'm probably going to have to shut the doors and have more boundaries at some point, but for right now, when everybody works with me, they get a group meeting once a week for only for the people in Inner Clarity System, and that link is for life. You will always be able to check in with me at least once a week, and that allows me to sleep at night knowing that everybody who needs help gets it.
Mm. Yeah. So, if anyone watching this sounds like kind of is interested in working with you, or it sounds they can relate to what you're talking about, do you want to just kind of clarify too, like who, again, like who you are, who you help, and if what they are feeling is something that you can help them with?
Yeah. I help people who have no hope. Um, People who are absolutely miserable, and they're sitting there and they've read all the books, they've listened to all the podcasts, they've done all the programs, and they know that they're just going to continue failing. They have all of this information and they're paralyzed. They can't apply it. And so I literally go into that situation and I help them find their inner clarity, because they're not broken, but they feel like they're broken. They feel like, hello, I'm 40 years old and I failed here, 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 and here. You're crazy to think that I'm not broken. I'm obviously broken.
Mhm.
But I have found that that is not the case and not true. And then I literally hold that space for them, and we're able to continue operating as we go forward. But I deal with a lot of people with mental illness, and a lot of people who wouldn't even be diagnosed with a mental illness, but they're inundated with negative self-talk, with worthlessness, and and really feeling like they have nothing to offer this world. And then I show them the truth. I show them their inner clarity. And like I said, it's the funnest job ever. And I'll probably be doing this when I'm 80. I love it.
Oh, amazing. So with your clients, do you find that you have to take, I want to know, how do you balance being tough and being gentle? Because you can't really be too gentle, right? You have to kind of be straightforward and honest. So like, how do you balance that, but still help them heal?
Well, it reminds me of the last interview that we had, and you said, "What is my superpower?" And my superpower is love. And so I like when people first start working with me, they're like, oh my goodness, because I am like dripping with love. Like and it's so authentic and so real. And I literally fall in love with these clients. And I see their brilliance. And so what I do is I cover everything that I say, everything that I do, even before I get on the call with them. I stop and I just take a moment, and I really make sure that I'm in a clear space, that I am going to offer them nothing but pure love. And whenever I'm doing that, you would be shocked at the things that I can say. But what I can do is I can say it in love and say, you know what, you're actually shooting yourself in the foot right now. And they're just like, you're right, thank you for telling me. And they actually are grateful for the tough love conversations. But I really don't ever lead with that. I always lead with oozy, dripping love.
That's that's amazing. I think I need to take some tips from you about that, because I'm usually a little more harsh.
The
I
the way
definitely.
you do it, the way you do it is you love yourself first. And I had to do that first. I had to fall completely in love with myself. Like I am literally my best friend. And we do everything together. And we have so much fun. And I used to hate her. I used to hate everything about her. I used to tell her how worthless she was all the time. I used to tell her that she was never going to amount to anything and that she was the scum of the earth. And all of a sudden I got really intentional about going, okay, we need to be a team. We need to work together. And so when you get me, you don't really just get me. You get like me, myself, and I. Like, we really come to the table because I love myself now. I have an endless well that I can pour into you.
Wow. So, do you mind if I ask you, how do you know when you really love yourself? Because, and how do you balance loving yourself and then not becoming egotistical or narcissistic? Because, like, for me, before, I hated myself. I hated looking at myself in the mirror. I thought I was a monster. I literally hated everything about myself, and I don't anymore. But I don't think I'm at the level you're at. So, like, how do you know when you get to that level and then but you're not a narcissist? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. When you operate in love, you literally, it is impossible to be a narcissist. A narcissist operates in hate. A narcissist operates in manipulation, in playing on fear. And so you literally cannot manipulate and control another person if you operate in complete love. Like, it's impossible. It is literally impossible. And so I believe that self-love and then pouring out that love onto someone else is this, it basically kind of like it's a safety lock that you really cannot be narcissist. It is impossible. But I see that fear and that facade, and it's a lie. It's not true.
Yeah, that's interesting. And does I can I ask you too, like, does anyone ever
You can
like
ask me everything.
does anyone ever like accuse you of that? That you like, if when you do talk like that like, oh, you're just a narcissist, or and things like that. Does anyone ever accuse you of that or no?
The exact opposite. I have
Cool.
not had one person really talk to me one-on-one and not go, you are the most humble person I have ever met. You are the most genuine, authentic, loving person I have ever met. And it's difficult whenever you're posting pictures or posting, reels, and because that's not intimate. But when you're in a one-on-one Zoom meeting with me, it is impossible to not just feel my love. I have literally never had anyone, even whenever I worked at a day job, and I would have people like coworkers that, maybe didn't like me or something. I would work in a room with them and they would fall in love with me. They're like, oh my gosh, you're the most kind, giving, loving person. And that's why it's my superpower. And love dissolves everything. There is not any hatred. And even what I have found is people who hate themselves, whenever they're around me, they start to believe in themselves.
Oh yeah. That, have you noticed that too? In your opinion, what is more powerful? Is a positive attitude more contagious, or is a negative attitude more contagious?
Hmm, that's a good question. I think that I think it's equal. I really do. And that's why I'm very intentional about the people that I work with. I interview everyone that I work with. What I have is it's called a clarity call, and it's $111. And it's so funny because I got bashed on some Facebook group because they said all of our other coaches offer free 15-minute things, and at that time I was charging $30, and they're like, can you give a free session? And I'm like, no, because I don't have an off switch. Like, I bring it. And we have this meeting, and I have not had one clarity call for $111 that the person didn't come away and go, oh, that wasn't worth my money. Oh, that wasn't worth my time. Like every single person was like, I would have paid double for that. That was amazing. And what I do in that inner clarity or that clarity call is that it's like an interview where you get to interview me and then I get to interview you and see where your energy is. Because if somebody comes to me and they're like, I can't do this and blah, 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 and this is bad and that is bad. Like there's a balance. I gotta like see the light in you. And whenever I see that, then I know, you know what, I really think we should work together. Or, you know what, why don't you go watch my free YouTubes, because
Yeah.
I don't think this is going to work for you.
I was going to ask you that too. Where is your line? Because you do seem like someone that just want to like help everyone they can. So I was going to say, do you have that line of like saying, no, actually, I'm not going to be able to work with you? Like, how do you tell if someone is going to be a good fit for you?
Yeah, that's honestly another reason why my husband and I designed this the way that we did, is if people do really want to work with me for free, they can. They can come to the Saturday Food Support Group, they can raise their hand in the meeting, and they can be coached live. It's recorded, we put it up on YouTube for replays, but if somebody really, really, really wants to talk to me, they can do that. They can absolutely do that. And that's honestly another reason why I charge what I charge. I charged $111 for the first call, and there's only one of those. I don't repeat that call. And that way I know that the person is ready. They're invested in themselves. They're not like on the fence. Like they're absolutely desperate to get answers and to stop the pain and stop the bleeding. And then for the 8 weeks, which is for life, it's $6,500. And so for anyone who is going to sign up to work with me for $6,500, they're bringing their A game. They're ready to stop the bleeding, stop the pain, stop the misery, and transform their lives. And so it really works itself out.
Mm-hmm. So, why are you so forthcoming with your prices? Because I know a lot of people, they don't want to say their prices. They don't want to make anyone go away. They kind of want to convince them first and then tell them how much it's going to cost. And you're not like that. And what is your decision with that, of just saying upfront, hey, this is how much it is. This is what you're going to get. Take it or leave it. What was there a strategy behind that?
Yeah, and it was funny because at first I used to be really like hidden about my prices and everything, and it started to become very uncomfortable, almost like I was violating the person, because we would have this clarity call and they would be so enthralled in what we were saying, and they would feel my love and they would feel everything, and they would be like, this is what I need, this is my answer, this is what I've been looking for. And then they would be like, how much is it? And I'm like, $6,500. And they're like, ugh. Like, you would think I literally like kicked them in the gut. And I was just like, ooh, I'm like, this doesn't feel good, this doesn't feel good. And so I realized that it was important for me to be as transparent as possible, to allow somebody to make that decision. They don't need to be duped into working with me. They hear me talk and they're like, I need to work with her. Or they hear me talk and they're like, yeah, no, Then they can just keep moving. I don't need to have anything be a secret. And another thing is that I show up, I deliver. I had a guy, it was back when my prices were $5,000, and he worked with me for, I think it was like, he was like 3 weeks in, and he said, I would have paid double. I would have paid $10,000 to work with you. This was life-changing. This was everything to me. And I was just like, gah, Like that means everything to me. So that's why, and I'm not trying to sell coaching or, therapy. What I'm selling and what I'm giving and delivering is a complete transformation. And I think back to where I was 5 years ago, and I would have given my car, I would have given a credit card, I would have given anything to transform my life and be where I am right now. So it depends on what it's worth to you.
Yeah. And has that helped you? Have you seen that it's helping your business or hurting your business to be that forthcoming?
Definitely helping, because I believe that it's important to operate in a place of authenticity. And so that keeps me clear that I don't have those moments of like, oh, I met with Sally and she really needs my help. And now I betrayed her because I'm too expensive for her. And so it really helps me to stay in that good place. And it's a process, we're still working out the kinks. We're still trying to figure everything out. We actually just launched an affiliate program. And what I love about this is that, Jessalyn's an affiliate. And so if you go and message her right after this, she will send you a link. And whenever you sign up for the $111 clarity call with me, that will tag you in my system so that whenever you come to me and we have the clarity call at the end of it, it's not $6,500 for you. It's $1,000 off. It's $5,500. And then I'm able to give Jessalyn back a referral fee. And so that just felt like amazing to me to know that I can pour back into the clients. I can give them $1,000 off. And then I can pour back into Jessalyn and say, thank you for the referral. Thank you for sending someone my way. And then it's a win-win-win. Like they get their lives transformed at $5,500.
Yeah. So why do you think, I know this is kind of going in a different direction, but
Go.
why do you think that money is such a touchy subject for people, and the idea of someone like getting paid and things like that, especially in the health sphere and stuff? Like, why do you think people expect your help to be free?
I really don't know. And I give so much. I've actually had this conversation with my husband, and he's just like, babe, like you give so much. And I give less now than I did at the very beginning. At the very beginning, I didn't have boundaries, and I would be like messaging someone at like 3 o'clock in the morning because like they were ready to commit suicide and they lived in another country. And so I've learned how to turn my phone off. I've learned how to set boundaries and to not respond to everything. Like I would sit on those Facebook groups and I would just answer all the questions and like help everyone. And so I've learned to really, set that boundary. But what I have found is that money is energy. There is literally nothing different. And it's like a battery where it's something that can be recharged and it can be replenished. It depends on what you want to use that battery for. And so it's not going to go with us when we're gone, and it's here for us to spend. And so once I learned that, that's whenever I was just like, oh, okay. Like the whole thing, time is energy, and I bring so much energy to everything that I do that it just makes sense, that I'm able to offer that for people. And if people have a difficult mindset around money, then I offer for them to do the free stuff. Just start where you're at. I'm literally accessible to everyone at every pay. And then I also have a weekly group that's $1,800. And so people can have a weekly meeting with me for $1,800. And that is for life as well. You will have that weekly meeting forever. $1,800 for a weekly meeting forever? Like, that's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. I'm never going to leave you. And so that's why and then I have the free meeting. The free meeting is every week. And so there's literally no one that says, I can't afford Emily. You can't afford free because I'm here.
Yeah. And I can attest that every time I have a conversation with you, I am smiling and I feel better. It just makes my day better. Even if I'm having a good day, it just makes it even better. So that I definitely can attest to what you're saying. So, and one thing you did mention is that you used to message people back at 3 a.m. and things like that. Did you kind of find that, or do you think now that maybe being that accessible to people and being that like where you jumped to help them, that it kind of hindered their progress because you were kind of too available instead of allowing them to stand up on their own 2 feet?
100%. 100%. And I was enabling them. I was absolutely enabling them. And I found that as a therapist, even, that whenever I would be available to meet with someone every single week, I became their crutch. I became, the enabler. And I needed to like spread it out to like every 2 weeks. And that's really what I do. Is it's really intensive at the beginning. And then we just like space our meetings out. We space them out to every 2 weeks. Then we space them out to every month. And then they don't need to talk to me for 6 months. It's really important to have that balance and to be able to read where the person's at. And that's where I think I'm different than regular coaches, is that I have that training, and I have that skill set to be able to literally read the client in real time at every connection. I can read them within their text. I can read them within what I do is a Marco Polo, where they can video message me. What's for the people in America. I don't think it's available in other countries. I don't know. But I can read their facial expressions when they send me a video. And so I think that's what kind of sets me apart as a coach.
That's smart, using Marco Polo. I think that people might steal that now. That's a really smart idea.
Take it. It has been literally the most effective tool for my coaching, because clients would hold back and they would wait until we had our one-on-one, and then they would everything. And now what's really cool is they know that they can just stick a pin in it. They can send me a 3-minute Marco Polo and go, hey, Emily, it's 3:00 on Monday, and I really want to go eat some donuts right now. And I really hate my mom, and my kids are driving me crazy. And I'm just like, okay. And then I can respond to that within 24 to 72 hours. And then they know that I'm going to see that. And it's been amazing. It's been a game changer for me.
Yeah. And since you do everything just 100%, how do you compartmentalize, and how do you not let one person bleed into another person and affect your day and your personal life? How do you turn those things off when you need to?
Well, I definitely think that number one, I'm just kind of hardwired for that. I think most people who go into the mental health field are kind of hardwired to be able to compartmentalize. But I'm also very empathetic. And so I've had to learn those boundaries. Huge asset for me is my husband. He sets boundaries, and he's just like, nope, stop, turn your phone off. It's 5:00. Get off social media. It's 6:00. And what we do is we have time blocks where there's blocks of time that I can go and I don't have to filter myself. I can just pour into my clients when I'm there. When I am being with my clients, I am 100% there. And then when I'm not, I'm 100% not. I'm with my family. I'm reading a book. I'm doing my thing. And I have really had to practice this of releasing the results and knowing that even the clients who look like they might be struggling at that time, I know that they are going to continue to walk in that wellness. And it's happened every time. I haven't had one client that wasn't a better person for knowing me.
Wow. So, and I was going to ask you, you kind of answered it a little, but do you ever, when your clients are at that point where they're at the end and they're kind of white knuckling it, do you ever feel like you failed, or do you always feel like something good came out of what you're doing? Are you ever hard on yourself?
Um, not anymore. I think I definitely did at the beginning. Um, I can't even say that, honestly, Jessalyn. I know that sounds so arrogant, but not one person has interacted with me that wasn't better for it. Um, they learned something, and they can't unsee what I show them. Like they literally can't unlearn what they learn with me. And I think that's the most powerful thing, is that it's not something that anyone can take away from them. Once I speak to them and once they really start to see themselves the way that I see them, it is profound, and we can't go back, and they only go forward. But I have found that my my belief in them is stronger now. It's not really my belief in me. It's my belief in them that is stronger now, that it's just unwavering.
So you, tell me if I'm wrong, but you look at people as every single human being, no matter how broken, has the potential to be a superhero. Basically, it has the potential to be the best person they can be, no matter how broken, no matter how much trauma or hurt or pain they've been through. That does not need to stay in their life forever.
Absolutely. And if anything, it's the opposite. It's the ones who are so messed up, that are schizophrenic, and they're hearing voices, and they're writing on the concrete with blood, their own blood, and they haven't bathed in a month, and when those people get set free, when those people, and it just takes a little bit. When you just look at them and you speak to them like they're a human being, it's just like, what, you saw me, you know? And it's those people, and not to that extreme, but to the people who are depressed, the people who have been abused, physically, sexually as a child, the people who have failed marriages and who have failed jobs. Those people are the salt of the earth. Those people are the people that I want to be around, because they have a grit to them that the white picket fence people don't have. And so I really see that they're actually more valuable and more powerful than the neurotypical people.
Yeah, because that is true. Why do you think the universe kind of works that way, where you kind of, the people who are like you're saying, the have something really special inside of them, tend to go through the most hardships? Do you think it's the hardships that create that diamond inside of them? Or do you think that it was always there and some external force was saying, no, we need to keep this down? Like, do you know what I'm asking?
Yeah. I could go both ways. Because I really, all I know is that there is gold there. Whenever somebody has a really tragic story and a tragic life and a tragic existence, and they're still in the midst of it, I'm like, ooh, I want to know you, because there's something there. And whether you came into this world with it, or it was developed through turmoil and tragedy, it's there, and it's absolutely beautiful. And for me, those are the most real and authentic people. And that is why I believe we even came into existence, is to live, not to be in this little cookie cutter life, with this cute little Pinterest things. We came to live in the nitty gritty, painful misery, because whenever you have that deep misery and that deep pain, oh my gosh, the experience of the joy and the peace, when you experience that, it's like otherworldly. It's heavenly. It's absolutely heavenly on a daily basis. And it's so worth it.
Yeah. And I just think, just listening to you talk every time, I just think it's so clear that this is what you are supposed to do, and this is absolutely your gift and the perfect thing for you. And it's so fun listening to you talk, because you can just tell that nothing else would fit this perfectly for you.
No, and the hard part is that I never fit in, Jessalyn. I never fit in as an employee. I never fit in as a therapist. I never fit in as a student, because in the school they were not teaching, these things. I never fit in. I never fit in my family. I never fit in, with my friends. I fit in with my friends now, because my friends are just as crazy as I am, which I love. But it wasn't until I was my true, authentic self that I found my place where I fit in. And I fit in with people like you that see me, that see my value, and allow me to see your value and see you. I remember the very first time I heard you speak, and I was just floored with the questions that came out of your mind. And I was just like, wow, there is something completely different about this girl. This is not your run-of-the-mill girl. She has thoughts that are just so intense, and that's just what comes out of your mouth. I can't imagine what goes on in your mind. I bet it's amazing.
Yeah, no, I definitely thank you, by the way. I really appreciate that. But there's a lot going on up here, and then sometimes when I speak, it's like because there's just so many things happening up here. So I have all going on, and then when it comes out, it's just like so I
No,
appreciate.
you deliver really well. You really deliver really well.
Thank you. If anyone watching real quick has any last little questions, drop them in the comments or anything. But what? Let's start to wrap it up. But do you want to just kind of say any final words or anything? Did we miss anything? Do you want to anything I didn't ask you that you wanted to touch on?
Yeah, I just want to speak to any of your followers that are suffering. Because more than likely you're suffering in silence. You might not even tell your spouse. You might not tell your parents. You might not tell your siblings, your friends. You're just holding it all together. You're just going through the motions. You're just showing up to work every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And then you're going to whatever event you have on the weekend, and you're just holding it all together. I would challenge you to say that is not living, and that you were meant to live. You were meant to feel good. Every one of us was put on this planet. It's not just, this select few that get to love themselves or that get to enjoy their life. And it's not overnight. This took me years to be who I am. I'm not who I was last week. It's a continuous process, but I have found that there is absolute magic that happens whenever you take the hidden and you be vulnerable and you share it with one other human. It's absolutely magical. And so let me be that space for you. I'm free. If you want to come to the Saturday food support groups, or if you want to work with me in a clarity call, it's $111. If you want to work with me for life, it's $6,500. You want to work with me weekly, it's $1,800. You just pick your spot, because there is more than enough room at my table. And Jessalyn, I'm so impressed with you as a human being. And I've watched you just continue to amaze people. And what I love about what you do is when you ask those questions, you are loving them because you're paying them attention. You're saying, I am curious about you. You are worthy. I want to know more. And so I thank you so much for all that you bring out of me in these conversations. I'm your friend for life.
Yeah. No, I love talking to you every time. Like I said before, every time I have a conversation with you, it just like guarantees I'm gonna have a good day. It just, because you just like are filled with so much love that like the person receiving it just like can't help but just be filled with it as well. So I think that I would argue that a positive attitude or a loving attitude is more contagious than a negative one.
I think so too. I think so too. And I want to go ahead. I mean, I didn't even think about this until right now, but I want to offer you. Let's get on a Zoom, just you and me, and let me just pour into you, as a gift, as a free gift to all that you bring to the carnivore community. I want to invest in an hour with you. So just let me know. I'll give you the link so you can schedule it for free. And I want to pour into you.
Okay. I definitely, how could I say no to that? I feel like I'm going to get my tissues ready because I feel like I'm going to be just bawling because I always get teary eyed just talking to you anyway. Yeah, I'm excited. But thank you again so much for chatting with me, and we'll definitely have to make this a regular thing if you're okay with that.
Sounds good. I'm there. I'm absolutely there.
Yay! And well, have a good evening, and thank you guys for watching and tuning in, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!
Bye.